No, Carl, you haven't responded to that.
Drugs are in the background of at least 70% of the crime in America. Drugs are a #1 problem with crime, and it touches everybody in this room directly or indirectly. But the real problem in crime in North Carolina is not the criminals. It is a weak, underfunded, overwhelmed judicial system that is totally incapable of providing for timely justice and accountability. And when you do that, when you set up that kind of system and you create a parade of career criminals, we should be very afraid with what's happening in our court system in North Carolina and across the country. We're losing our way in enforcing our laws, and when you do that, people do not treat your laws seriously. Of gas, well, we've let the envirojackers kidnap our energy policy. We should not be chasing all over the world for our energy needs. We should be farming at home to our maximum capacity. Do it responsibly, but do it. Go to Alaska, go to the Gulf, go to Colorado. Get the energy that we need. Nuclear power is the future of energy. Nuclear power is the future of energy. The high gas price, I'm much less concerned about the high gas price, which it makes us all sick every time we go to the pump, than I am the loss in the value of the dollar that has occurred in this past year. Anybody know how much the dollar has gone down against major currencies in the past year? 30%. That's a 30% tax on everyone in this room that none of us signed on for. And that's the #1 reason that the price of, or one of the major reasons that the price of fuel has gone up. I worry about our dollar. When the price of gold, is it time up or?
Yep.
Or when the price of gold goes up and the dollar goes down, we're all in trouble.
We're running for federal office, but we live in North Carolina. Do you know that North Carolina has the 6th highest gas tax in America? That's one of the reasons, superficial reason, why gas is so high for us. But the real reason is we haven't focused seriously on energy independence. And we really need to do that. And we really need to use nuclear power to its fullest capacity. And we really need to use all of the resources we have in energy in a comprehensive way to relieve the people of America from artificially high gas prices.
I'll second both of those remarks. First of all, by saying I live 14 miles from the Georgia border, and common sense has its place in this world, and I will frequently drive to Clayton, Georgia to buy a tank of gas rather than buy it in my hometown. I hope you don't view me as an apostate for doing that, but Americans are commonsensical people, and they go where they can find bargains, and this is the way politicians should get educated, that they've made a wrong decision and they have to do things differently. So I'm seconding the comment on the gas prices. I second the comment on nuclear energy. Of all the nations of the world, the one which raises the most amount of its power from nuclear energy is France, and they raise 80% of their electricity from that. So none of it comes from coal, and none of it comes from oil, or at least very little. We're never going to drive the price of gasoline down again, because there are too many people asking for too much, including some nations like China, which weren't using much oil when you go back 20 or 30 years, but are using a lot of it now. So we do need to go to other ways of running a car. And it can be done. The engineers among you can run a long list of things that can be done to run cars without internal combustion on oil. And that's our future. Also means better railroads. Lord knows we need good railroads out here.
Spencer next. We're going to entertain one more question. This gentleman right here, then we'll have our closing statements.
There was a question about immigration, and that's really one of the reasons that I came, and I wanted to address that to you. But according, and if you haven't listened to Glenn Beck, this is where I get some of my information. He is saying that there is an effort to do away with the borders, and that Canada and the United States and Mexico become more or less one entity and that we don't have any borders at all.
We don't have much time, just have one question.
Okay. What would you do to restore the confidence of Americans in our government to keep our borders and keep our sovereignty in place?
I think one of the biggest dangers to the sovereignty of our nation is giving it away. Giving it away to the United Nations, giving it away to the North American Union, giving it away to any group that doesn't hold elected office because we voted those officials in. I think it's a situation that is going to really become intolerable if we allow it to happen. It's almost the equivalent for me as a retired soldier of giving command to some other country of American troops and expecting them to do the same thing that we would have them do under American leadership. It is not in the interest of our country to do that.
I thoroughly agree with that. A nation which cannot control its borders cannot control its future. And the simple fact is we are suffering an invasion. They're not carrying weapons, they don't bring tanks with them, but they are taking over the United States a part at a time. And the Mexican interests now control Los Angeles, for instance. That's what the last election was all about. We have to have not a virtual fence, not a hint of a fence in the future. The authority Congress has already given to build the fence should be carried out. And it is the fault of the President and the entire Congress that this is not being done. As far as what you're talking about, the multinational union, over my dead body. That's my answer to that. And I think there are enough people in Congress who recognize that that would be a disaster to keep the open border with Mexico. An open border with Canada is not a problem. We don't have a large number of Canadians coming in and filling up our schools and our hospitals and our prisons, because they're about the same as us on development scale, so therefore they don't have an incentive. Whereas Mexico, the United States, is the welfare department of Mexico. That's wrong. It's got to stop.
One of the most harmful things that government is doing these days is passing laws that they have no intentions or no ability to enforce. And in nowhere is that more clearly illustrated than in our immigration law. One of the lowest moments in the Western North Carolina debate on illegal immigration occurred in this county. The Henderson County Blue Ribbon Committee gave the business community a free pass on illegal immigration.
Wrong.
My turn at the table. Gave the business community a free pass on illegal immigration.
Wrong.
I want my time back there.
I'll see that you get it.
If you do not go after where the jobs come from and the money comes from, and stop people from illegally employing illegal immigrants, you will not affect the problem. If you do that, and all the rest of it comes next, you can fix the problem or a large share of it. Stop the leak in the boat, and then we can start talking about fixing the motor.
We've made really great time. You've been a great audience. You've asked great questions.